people are benefiting off each other. They say, no harm, no foul. And I can understand that. But for me, I feel like just as a business owner and just somebody who has a job where, I kind of work with the public and a lot of stuff kind of depends on how I operate and what I do. And then just from having, clients and stuff and having to deal with like information and sensitive topics, it's like I don't really give myself a choice to not be honest or not to be forthcoming. And for some people who don't have a lot of responsibility or who aren't used to managing things, sometimes honesty is hard. Sometimes accountability, I think, and this is where I wanted to segue into, accountability is hard too, because we can't talk about being honest without being accountable, right, y'all? So, these two things are parallel. Two things can exist at one time. And accountability, I think, is a big thing too that people struggle with. Whether, and that could be something as little, y'all, as like setting your alarm clock in the morning and getting up, or doing a task or something that you forget that you usually do, or like you promised somebody something and you didn't end up following through on it, and then that person followed up with you and you might have forgot it for whatever reason. There's many things that people do in life for accountability. Your accountability gets tested, and then that ties into your credibility and how people view you. And I think going back into YouTube, just things that I was seeing and stuff, and just my little bit of time being in here, because I'm still new to a lot of this stuff, y'all. I ain't gonna lie, it's just levels and things that you know I'm still learning about as I kind of navigate. Um, there are people who have a higher sense of honesty and morality and integrity and move as such, you know, and then you have people who don't necessarily hold that to a higher level, and they're more just like, go with the flow. I'm just here, however y'all rocking, I'm a rock. And, it's, I think a lot of conflict comes from that. And I think until you can kind of figure that out, it gets tricky. I feel like it can get really tricky. So, again, this live is open panel. Anybody wants to come up and discuss, definitely feel free to. Um, I definitely feel like after everything that's happened this week, honesty definitely um, has to be the best policy, or at least being mostly honest. I'll play devil's advocate and kind of say you can be mostly honest. You don't have to be 100%, I guess. If that's too hard for some people, you know. But yeah, y'all, just and going back to I think the dude's name was Stockton Rush. Um, all these people seem very smart, and he's not the only one. There's been other instances and things that I've read about for disasters that have happened, to very really prominent people who either come from money or prestige, and they've just made like very unwise decisions. And I think this one struck everybody kind of being crazy because, they were warned, and not just one time, like a couple times about, going to the ocean floor and everything, and dude was just like, nah, I'm gonna keep going. We're gonna get to the Titanic. And then the other kicker was there was another person that was on board with them, y'all, and this dude went like I think 35 or 38 times. And I'm like, in my brain, I'm like, this guy's been on here multiple times. Like, I think he would have a good sense of safety and what is allowed and what is not allowed for, a craft or a vehicle that's going under this far, because that water is a lot of pressure. I think, and I think that's another thing a lot of people don't understand about the deep sea is it's not as opposed to flying where if you go up higher, you know you kind of lose gravity. Water is always the opposite, where it's pulling down on us, and it's just a lot of pressure. So the lower you go, you know, that water is just so packed, and water is really heavy, you know, and it sits on you. So if you could imagine them being in that sub, right, and as they're going lower and lower, that pressure is just building more and more on the sub, and They're using carbon fiber, which really isn't tested. It's more titanium and steel is what you want. And what did I read that he was doing? Like he had plexiglass and there was glue, and then he had like a PlayStation controller or some shit like that, y'all. And I was just like, oh my god. And them people paid, I think it was 250K a piece to be in this. Basically, you're signing your death certificate in a way, because I'm telling you, you cannot pay me to put my life in somebody's hands to be in something like that, and then just the rest of my life. Like there's just no way, y'all. So I thought that was crazy. I thought it was something that definitely shouldn't have happened. I said it again. It was a real big tragedy. My heart goes out to all the families that were involved, even the CEO. Even though I feel like personally he's just, he was a smart person that made a really really dumb mistake, and he risked, you know, where there shouldn't have been risk at. Like it was a situation that could have been avoided completely, you know. But and I was watching some of the other videos too, y'all. I might post some of the links in the description if anybody's curious about this whole, like, like the deep sea exploration, because I know a lot of people just don't have information on like the sea in general. We don't ever really look at deep sea stuff at all, right? Because you feel like it's the ocean, it's the water. Who really wants to go under sea looking for shit, right? That's what that's what a lot of people think. But I think the nerd in me, because I'm a little, science geek or whatever. I geek out about shit like that because I'm like, okay, I need to know the information. It's the research side that comes out. And I'm watching these videos of like other incidents and accidents that people have had, and I think it was one. I think it was like the dolphin, like Byford incident or something, and like the dude got sucked into like this little like this chamber or something, and it was like halfway open. And y'all, like the pictures of that I saw, like the dude was looking like, it looked like some Chef Boyardee. I ain't gonna lie to you, like he literally, whole body just like boom, like just split apart, like it was crazy. And just to see that in picture, so you could get a sense of like that force, or I guess that pressure that he was going against, it was wild, y'all. And that was just one instance of like, dealing with water and being underwater, and where it's like, and these are divers that I was looking at too. And so you imagine if a diver is by themselves and you get caught something like that, and nobody knows that you're stuck or anything. It's not like you can yell, you're underwater. You know what I'm saying? You got a whole oxygen tank on you. I can imagine them being in a submarine and you losing communication with whoever's supposed to be at the top of the submarine, and then you're pretty much just waiting. At that point, you're pretty much just waiting for imminent doom. I don't know if they knew that they were gonna die, but I feel like once they got to a certain point where that communication was lost, because that implosion happens in like half a second. That's another thing too that y'all got to understand. When implosions happen at that level with that much pressure, there's really you're not feeling no pain. There's no torturous, none of that stuff. Like it happens very quickly, like as fast as you can blink. That's pretty much, they got like flash fried, and then it's like, okay, you're dust, and then the hole breaks, and then the water comes in, and then that's just it. Like it's, physics and science is very unforgiving, and physics and science doesn't care about your money. They don't care about your title. They don't care about your bank accounts. Physics and science is always there. So, that's just a hard lesson that I think that dude ended up learning, and everybody that was on that vessel ended up learning. And it was unfortunate, but you know, I hope that people research a lot about that situation, and I hope that there's a lot more regulations to, this looking at the deep sea in general. I personally feel like whatever the fuck is down there, we need to leave them down there. I don't know why people like to keep fucking with nature. That's me, y'all. I feel like some people feel the same way, and I'm just like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If there ain't nothing that's in that water coming out on land to try to take us out or do anything to us, then leave it be. What do we need to explore anything down there for? We're not gonna put people in like little bubbles and have them down there, like searching around for shit and doing stuff. I'm like, nah, there's no reason for it. So I feel like, unless we're about to start a whole civilization down there, it really ain't no reason, what I'm saying, for us to be over there. I feel like that. Now, you know, the white man with the gray hair might feel different, but I feel like it's enough room on Earth. You know, like we don't really need to expand like that. You know, but